Welcome everyone to another episode of JSB GamesCast. I'm your host Rob, aka Zen. Joining me today we have Ryan.
I am here.
You are here.
I am here.
I was worried for a second. There was a bit of a delay there, and I was like, "Oh no, am I all alone?"
No. No loneliness here. We're all good. Yeah, we're all good.
Good. I don't want to do this alone.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's scary out there.
It's very scary. But yeah, I am here. We're getting ready to do another JSB GamesCast, and pretty excited about that.
Good. I'm excited to hear everything that you've been doing, because I know you've been doing a lot.
Been trying.
I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna hope that is true.
I've been doing some things. I've been doing some things. There is a game that I will be able to talk about when we
Hell
get
yeah.
going. Yes.
Good shit.
Yeah.
Drewstifer is also here. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm existing.
I'm
quite exhausted.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you've been on the road for all day today.
Yeah, you've had a journey.
Yes.
But along that journey, you was able to overcome a pretty difficult task within the realm of Fire Emblem. So you've done a lot, and you earn a good rest after we finish this recording. Lewis is not with us today. I would love to give a reason, but I don't know.
Life.
So
we'll go with life.
Yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go with my staple. Lewis is out on assignment.
Yes.
And we can't talk about what that assignment is, but when he comes back, he's gonna have a lot of things to talk about. So stay tuned for that. And we'll see if that pans out. We'll see if I'm right come next week. And for me, I'm doing pretty well. Couple of housekeeping notes real quick. This week, after you guys will hear this, we'll be doing the anime cast this weekend live. It's going to be on Saturday this weekend due to scheduling stuff. So if you guys are interested, you can tune in at twitch.tv/Pinoy_Grigio. Pinoy spelled with a 1 at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Our assignment for this episode is Dr. Stone. So if you guys have watched that anime, or if you're interested in watching that anime and want to watch it and then chat with us while we talk about it, that is your homework assignment. So definitely check that out if you guys are available. And we have some pretty cool stuff coming for that show as well in the coming weeks. I think we got some interesting things to talk about soon. Other than that, also know that the JSB GamesCast is also going up on YouTube now. So we finally have YouTube uploads for this show. I am toying with the idea of putting up the back catalog of episodes as well, and then I realized, we're like 167 episodes in. So that is quite the fucking undertaking.
That'll be a lot of work.
It'll be a lot of work. It will be done in very small doses, right? Maybe like 2-3 episodes at a time. I don't know when I'm gonna start that, but I think that's a process that I should do just for like record keeping sake, So yeah, that's going to be a process that's probably going to take all year, but keep on the lookout for that as well. With that out of the way, let's talk about some video games.
Play video games.
I don't know what
I
that
have
was.
No idea what the hell
Drew
he just said, but okay.
is melting before our ears. Just getting sucked into his couch. We'll see if he survives.
Yeah.
Place your Twitch bets now.
Yeah, Drew, you okay?
I'm fine.
King of games, baby.
Somewhat.
Ryan, you want to kick us off? I know you've been playing a little bit of Wulong.
I have.
That's
have.
the main thing you want to talk about. But talk to me about,
I definitely have been playing a lot of Wulong, which is Kind of like, I mean, that's another game from Team Ninja that's kind of like from, if you played Neo, it's very much like that, although quite a few differences with the game. But if you've played Neo, it's kind of like that same thing, or even like any type of like Souls game for that matter. It's a lot of those different elements, although there's more. I want to say it's an interesting mix of like Neo, and then also a little bit of Dynasty Warriors and a little bit of Sekiro with it.
Yes.
Especially with how strong parrying is in Wolong, which a lot of the game is based off of parrying, especially when it comes to the boss fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was something I wasn't expecting when I was playing through the demo. Like, there's definitely more of an emphasis on parrying in this game than previous games.
Definitely, and and even with all that said and everything, I talked about my experience with Neo in the past and how even though I definitely believe and definitely feel Neo is a great series, it's a great game to get into. It wasn't for me personally because there were a lot of things that happened in Neo that really, really agitated me. As far as like, the game Neo was a very aggressive game, I didn't like the fact that like, hey, I'm doing an execution move, but as I'm done executing somebody with that move, I get jumped by 4 dudes and I die. And it's just I get the aggressive factor, but to me it was a little too aggressive for my liking with this. I've yet to experience that with Wolong. I feel like it kind of dialed it back a little bit. It still has aggressive moments, and it still has ways to where like, oh, you'll get wrecked, and you'll get wrecked in a very bad way that'll make you shake your head going, oh, what the hell? But it's not as apparent as it was in the Neo series. And I feel like, and I'm even going to include other Souls games because it's all in that genre to me anyway and everything. I feel like that as far as the experience goes so far, this has been the most enjoyable experience in this genre for me. And I'm even going to include Elden Ring in that.
Hell yeah. That's cool.
It's short, like, again, it's that type of game and everything, but you feel like you are on an even playing field with the way the game is kind of built. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel like you're ever really struggling a lot. At least for me, right now. Like, I just entered the 3rd level. I just, completed the first 2 maps, and now I'm getting ready to go into the 3rd one. But, like, everything that, like, there's that sense of, I can do cool stuff, and I can hold my own easily with this stuff, And I think a lot of it is because of the parry system and how the parry system functions in the game and everything, stuff like that. Combat's pretty responsive. It's pretty cool. Like very fluid as far as like the game experiences so far. And that's even, I don't know where you're playing it, Rob, but I'm playing on Game Pass because it is free on Game Pass.
I'm gonna be playing it on Game Pass. So I only played the demo, which was on Steam, right?
Right.
But I did download it on Game Pass on both the PC and Xbox, and I'll probably jump between both versions, since it has cross save along with that as well.
It does.
But I haven't had a chance to like officially start it.
Yeah. And I will say, like, the game running on Game Pass anyway, like, I heard, like, with the demo on Steam, there might have been some people that had some issues with it and stuff like that, performance-wise. But at least with the Game Pass and playing on it, like, the performance has been pretty fluid for me personally for the most part. There will be some, like, weird visual glitches that happen here and there where, like, sometimes the enemies will be, like, flickering. Like a certain color and stuff like that and everything. And like that's kind of like weird, but it's kind of like, again, it's just something weird that's like visually here and there. It's not like all across, that doesn't happen consistently. It's like here and there, where it's just like something weird that triggers it to where like enemies are flashing, like mainly in the boss fights and stuff.
Yeah. When I was playing on the Steam demo, I didn't really run into any technical issues per se. I think I felt like there might have been like a little bit of stuttering, but that was like on like the first load of the area for like the first like minute, and then it just like smoothed out and everything was fine. But aside from that, I didn't have any real technical issues. But I did hear people were having some issues here and there with it.
Now, I will say one thing that's weird, though, too, is because I am playing the game at like 120 FPS, and then when it cuts to the cutscenes, it's like 30 frames.
Yes.
And it's
30
just like
cutscenes.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, it's kind of a weird jump to get used to and everything. And then like when it's trying to get back into like the game, it takes it a minute to get itself back to the performance rate that you're running at in game. But it's not, like I said, it's not a deal breaker or anything. It's just something that's kind of weird that happens when it gets to that.
That always trips me out when games have their cutscenes rendered at 30, and it's like it for me it almost takes me out of the experience a little bit. Because like there's definitely like a visual change, and you're just like you almost start to think like your computer's like hitching or something, like it's something broken.
Because it is visually jarring when you see it like that and everything. And then but then it's just like, I gotta remember, I'm like, oh wait a minute, no, I'm running this on the 3070 Ti. No, I'm not having any issues at all. Can't be my setup. No, not at all.
Not me. Not at all.
But outside of that, I mean, like I said, it's been a very enjoyable experience. The characters are kind of cool. The ones that we met so far. Because you do get like an AI partner that's with you too, like when you're kind of going through and seeing stuff like that. And I know there is online capability too, like you have other players join and stuff like that. And like last night we were kind of talking with Travis about this last night too, with the online. Like it will always, like if you're hopping in a certain area and stuff like that and everything, it's always going to scale you to whatever the level is for that, which is kind of cool, which is kind of unique. To make the experience enjoyable when it comes to that.
Yes.
So I kind of want to explore like the online aspect of one day with it and everything, but like so far my experience with Wolong has been very, very positive, which is, like I said, usually when it comes to those type of games, I'm always feeling like, damn, I suck when it comes to these, because like how demoralizing they can be. Especially Neo, because of its
that game is actually brutal. It is. If it's a game that like you click with, you feel that it is a really tightly made action game, and it is very cool. But like also you can't shy away from the fact that game is, as you said, demoralizing. It is brutal. It is like a case of like, we're not giving you any sort of leeway here.
Which
can
I think
be a lot.
And like I said, I know there are people that love those type of games and everything.
But it's not for everybody.
Exactly. And like for me personally, I'm just kind of like, I was like, I need a little bit here. It sucks when I'm doing an execution move and then I die for 3 seconds later while I'm in recovery of that. It's just like, come on, let's dial it back just a touch, like for me personally, like. But with Wolong, like I said, I don't feel that. If I do die or stuff like that, I feel it's like, well, I just mistimed my parry there, so that's what happened. That's how I died. Or I was just like, oh well, I just missed the attack here, or I didn't gauge my health good enough in this regard and everything. Like I don't feel the cheapness factor that was happening as much as I did in Neo, which was like for me personally, that was like an absolute turnoff when it came to that. But yeah, so far I've been enjoying it. Like I said, I'm about ready to get things going with the third map for Wolong, but so far it's been a very enjoyable experience. I think my favorite weapon in the game so far as the staff.
Okay.
Yeah, the staff, like, especially on the first boss, the staff did some serious work for me. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I think I'm going to keep rolling with the staff. It's pretty good. There are some other weapons I want to try, but the staff has been the one that's clicked with me the most.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Do you know all the weapon types? I don't know all the weapon types that are in this game. I only know the sword, and then you get like the naginata or whatever.
Yeah, there's the staff, there's the naginata, there's a spear, there's a couple great hammers, there's a couple dual wield weapons with like some dual swords, and there's also the swords. I don't know what they're called, but they're the swords that Cabal uses in Mortal Kombat. There's those swords. Yeah. So like those swords are there. There's like I said, a big, huge like spiked club you could use. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more Chinese influenced weaponry with this game because obviously it's more Chinese influenced.
Yeah, it's definitely like this grand take on like the Three Kingdoms stuff. It's basically if you take Neo instead of being like the Japan setting, it's Three Kingdoms.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And then you got your range weapons like your bow and arrow and stuff like that and everything. There's also I think there's some axes too. I think you use axes as well. But
okay. So I will get my axe and hammer going.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, halberds, glaives, like a lot of those and everything. Like I said, so far for me though, it's been like my favorite weapon's been the staff. Like I've definitely liked I like the bow staff. Like it's definitely put in some good work for me. So I'm good with that.
Hell yeah.
But that's kind of like been my experience with Wolong so far. I'm definitely going to be playing more of it. I've also been playing a lot of the Street Fighter Duel mobile game they had recently released. It's your basic mobile game, really. I mean, if you've played a mobile game, you kind of know what you're getting into, where you're trying to get your favorite characters and do all that stuff and everything. There's a lot of there are like idle game aspects to it too. So like if you're away from it, you do accumulate resources over time and stuff like that. It has like your tower mode that you could do. It has your, daily goals and everything like that that you could do. It is a lot more based off of Street Fighter 4 though, especially with its character roster and all that stuff. Plus like the designs and everything and stuff like that, and kind of like the story, it's all more Street Fighter 4 related. But
I mean, when you're doing a 10 pull, it is literally the Ultra Street Fighter 4 character select screen.
It is very much, right? Exactly. Yeah. So, I was able to get Chun-Li and Cammy with some of my roles. Of course, that's who's in my main party, along with I think I'm playing as well, like Guile, and it's not Evil Ryu in this one. He's called Mad Ryu. Where it's just like he's just lost control and the Satsui Hato's controlling him. But like even some of like the alt costumes that they have is pretty cool. Like seeing Blanca in a basketball jersey is kind of funny. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that game is notorious for having like really cool skins and alternate like artwork characters that like people have been drooling over those characters for years now because it's been out since like 2019 or something like that.
Right.
In Asia, so you would see these random art cards floating around, and it's just like, bro, these designs are sick. And no one really knew where they came from.
Right, there was one design of Cammy I saw in there, and I was just like, yeah, I kind of want to get that one.
For sure.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, if you've played a mobile game that has like the idle elements and has like all those different elements with the grinding and trying to get to certain levels and stuff like that, everything, you kind of know what you're getting into when it comes to the game and stuff like that. But hey, if you're a Street Fighter fan, it's free. Just have fun with it. It's not groundbreaking or anything.
No, and you can definitely tell it's like an older released mobile game, right? Like there's certain trappings within that game that just kind of like scream a certain era.
Yeah.
In like the whole the way the menus are and just the way that like they're so upfront about getting you to pay for things. It's just very much a very specific time period for mobile games that I had like this reaction when I first started it, and I was like, I feel like I'm taken back to like 2015 real quick.
It is funny though, and even in like Memento Mori does this too. It's like whenever you get a certain milestone, they'll be like, "Hey, congratulations! Guess what? You can buy this for $3 or whatever." And it's like,
here's this pack. It pretends it's giving you a deal by saying like, you're getting 99% off, and it's like, bitch, this wasn't even for sale to begin with. Like,
exactly.
What are you talking about?
But even then, it still gets me.
Trust, I just went past a milestone in Memento Mori, and it popped up one of those things. I was like $2, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it.
It's like, sure, I'll bite.
I bounced off of Street Fighter Duel because like in theory it is something that I do enjoy because it does take a lot of trappings from idle games, right? But it also makes me appreciate how distilled Memento Mori is. Because like one of the reasons why I enjoy and constantly play Memento Mori is because like it is so streamlined that like I get through my dailies like in 5 minutes, and like doing matches. I have like I have an entire skip button to just like skip the entire fight sequences and stuff like that. And things like little quality of life stuff that really just like, I'm just here to make the numbers go up. Like I don't need everything else around it. In Street Fighter Duel is very much like, no, you're gonna sit through these battles. It feels very slow. Right. And I'm like, it's turning me off, and it's making me like really realize like why Memento Mori has its hooks in me more than like anything else right now. But I do think Street Fighter Duel is a cool game though. But it's definitely one that like, it made me realize what I prioritize in these games. And I was like, okay, this is cool, but I'm kind of going to bounce off of this.
It's especially the skip button. The skip button is big. That like especially when you're going through like in Memento Mori, when you're going through like
more games need skip buttons. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't know how that's not,
especially like, the mobile games
standard.
Yeah, especially the mobile games for sure. Like, because like for example, like in Memento Mori, there's like this like the cave of space thing that you do, which is like your tower, like it's kind of like a tower thing, and like you can go through that thing in literally like 5 minutes just by skipping all the battles, stuff like that, and accumulate all your rewards going through and everything. Like it's so amazing. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like when like playing through Street Fighter Duel, I'm like, that is honestly the one big thing that's missing. If they put a skip in this thing, then I would definitely be grinding a lot more with it. But like everything that you exactly said about Memento Mori is why like I have that ahead of it for sure. And also like Memento Mori's artwork is just out of this world good. Like it's so good.
Like, the production values around it is just like, that's a whole other thing. Like you have good music and you got good artwork, and it's like, that's really all I need at the end of the day. You know.
Plus it has Cordy.
Plus it has Cordy.
It has Cordy.
We stand Cordy in this house.
That we do. That we absolutely do. Shouts to Cordy.
Shouts to Cordy.
But that's pretty much it for me as far as what I've been getting into and everything, stuff like that. Still been also kind of sticking to an art grind. I have completed yet another commission. Which I know you. I sent you that latest one I did that I showed you, Rob. That one got some pretty good reviews. So there may be some potential other things happening art wise for me down the road here that I can't say yet. Well, let me just rephrase it. I can't say on this podcast yet.
Ooh.
But But stay tuned to that. I will say though, like the commission stuff I am doing right now for the month of March, I am offering $10 off on commissions that I'm doing. So if you guys want to check that out, you just go to my Twitter, RCB_draws, and you can see. You can hit me up there if you guys are interested in any of my work. So that's pretty much it with that. So.
I love that. Hell yeah. I'm excited to hear more of this news you're teasing out.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys a little bit after the recording.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so.
Drewstifer, I know you are hot in the middle of a Fire Emblem map as we speak. How goes it in those lands?
I am not actually. I beat it a while ago.
Oh, damn. I thought you just went on to the next one.
Oh, no. Well, no, the one I was playing before recording, I beat it.
Yeah, no, but I thought you moved on to like another map afterwards.
Oh, no. I was listening to Ryan.
Well, what's going on with you?
I've pretty much just been playing Fire Emblem 4 Coma. For those of you who don't know, the more I play Fire Emblem Engage, I just think it's like a 4 Coma comic book of Fire Emblem. Like, this game is a parody of everything Fire Emblem in like the most Fire Emblem sense. No, I've been playing. I've been putting in a lot of time in Engage since last recording. I think last recording I talked about Crano.
Yep, Crano Origins.
Right. So I don't know if I think the last time I spoke about Engage, I was pretty much ragging on the game's UI and UX and the extracurricular activities the game gives you access to. And I'll be honest, a lot of those complaints have not changed. I'm about 60 hours into this game now, which I don't know how I did that in the course of a week. Like, I literally I stopped playing tag and then just started playing Fire Emblem, and then all of a sudden I just had 60 hours of gameplay. I don't know when that happened.
That's how that game goes, man. I blinked and all of a sudden I was at like 80 hours. And that was at the point where I was like, okay, I need to just finish this game. Because I don't know where that time came from.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just like, this does remind me a lot of like going through this game. Like, I'm having fun playing this game. It reminds me of the time where I decided to do my Fire Emblem Awakening Lunatic run, which I did on the second playthrough of that game, where like the game is really challenging me to like pull out all the stops. I do have to say, whatever algorithm or whatever, calculation they're using for hit rate in this game is something else. That is the best. Like, all right. So I grew up on, Fire Emblem 7, Fire Emblem 8, like Blazing Sword, Sacred Stones, like those are my Fire Emblems. And so for what a lot of people don't know is the way, like from Fire Emblem 6, which is Binding Blade, which was the only GBA game we didn't get, to Fire Emblem 7, Intelligent Systems actually changed the way the game decides hit rate, right? Basically what it does is in Fire Emblem 6, the game rolls one dice out of like 1 to 100. It does like one roll, and then whatever it lands on, that's what it is. Whereas and like what it does is it takes the number it rolls and it applies that to like your hit rate and like the enemy's avoid rate, and then it determines on whether your attack is going to hit or not. And that is like a lot more punishing than what they started doing in Fire Emblem 7, whereas they actually do 2 rolls before they detect hit rate. And you'd be surprised at like how much that changes things. Now, granted, Fire Emblem 7 and Fire Emblem 8 are designed to be easier Fire Emblem games, especially since Fire Emblem 7 was like that game, despite being the 7th game in a long-running series, is very much designed to be an entry point because it was designed as the US's first Fire Emblem. So like coming back to this game, it feels like they took Binding Blade's like algorithm for determining like hit rate and crit rate and everything, and it just feels so goddamn punishing. My head is just constantly on swivel because I'm just shaking so much. That being said, there are like a lot of strategic quality of life upgrades that I really appreciate about this game, for better or for worse. For one, I've been talking about this game a lot on Twitter, like over the past week, and like posting clips and like my thoughts about the game. And one of the first things like that I really pointed out that I'm appreciating is like as I'm tackling these harder and harder maps, like, and these maps are taking me hours. I think like the biggest challenge one that I've done lately was Lynn's Paralog, and that took 3 attempts, like 3 major attempts. Like there were definitely a bunch of attempts where like I did like the first turn and I was like, no, we're going to redo this. This was the right approach. But like my first, like I did like 3 lengthy approaches. And, you know, the more and more that I play these maps, like things like staves, which is something that kind of fell to the wayside in Fire Emblem. Granted, I don't have the knowledge of like the first 5 games, because like I really want to sit down and play Genealogy and Thracia, because once Intelligent Systems went to Binding Blade is actually like a soft reset for the whole series. Because like people who have played like Blazing Swords, Sacred Stones, and then went like into Path of Radiance. Path of Radiance looks like a huge overhaul upgrade, because like Path of Radiance includes like class skills and individual skills and like really fleshes out like character development. But this sort of exists already in Genealogy and Thracia. Like the character development in those games is very, very in depth. And it's actually a reason why I want to sit down with those games and like really see, like, I hear like Thracia is like infamously hard, and that's why they did a soft reset on the series. But like, I really want to see like how things were designed back then. And like some people are knowledgeable about it, and I see it on like threads, especially like when I'm looking stuff up about like Fire Emblem Heroes and like how units in that game are designed like with homages, with like skill sets they had in their original game, specifically like the Genealogy and the Thracia games. But like one thing that I've noticed is like coming from Blazing Blade and Sacred Stones, like there was this emphasis on, or like staff units were a lot more developed than in later games. Because for me, my Fire Emblem experience is I played Blazing Sword, Sacred Stones. I missed out on Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Like I still need to sit down with those games. But like I never got to play those. And then I played Shadow Dragon, and like Awakening was like where it really hit my stride in Fire Emblem and like really dug down into the nitty gritty. But like as I played more games, I noticed like certain things were becoming like a bit more like not necessarily dumbed down, but like simplified. They took away like a lot of the status staves that you saw in the GBA games. Like in the GBA game staves, you had like Berserk stave, like, which was a really annoying staff to deal with, because you could just be going through a map and then a magic user or staff wielder from across the screen can just turn your strongest unit against you. And then, you got to restart because your sword master, who you can't hit, is just critting your entire like squad. So once you would get used to like these staves existing, and there was like a silent stave and a freeze stave, and then you go to like Awakening and none of that is there. Staves are specifically designed for like healing. So coming into Engage, like that was a long-winded explanation to get to my point, but coming to Engage, like they really fleshed out the stave system again. There are multiple staves that you get to play around with. There's a freeze stave, which can like lock enemy movement. There's a stave that breaks enemies, which is engages new mechanic where like you can stun enemy units and your units can also get stunned. Like it's a new feature of the weapon triangle where like if during player phase or whatever phase during offensive phase of whatever unit, whether it's the enemy unit or your unit, if you attack with weapon triangle advantage, you will inflict the break status on your enemy, meaning they will drop their weapon and they will not be able to counterattack for the rest of that battle initiation and the next battle initiation. And so there's a staff that just inflicts that break status from like across the screen. My personal favorite is the obstruct staff, which lets you just create an ice crystal on the map, and you can kind of use that to sort of like funnel enemy like swarms through a bottleneck or like slow them down to give your squad like a bit more space to breathe. Like I've used the obstruct staff a lot. Like one of the maps specifically, there was the Tiki Paralog map where you're going through like this temple and you have to activate switches on the temple to get to the boss room. And the boss room was like Tiki and 2 wolf knights and an ice wyvern. And I'm just like, I cannot take all of those units on it. So basically what I did is I took my staff unit and like the way it was spread out is like the ice wyvern could leave first, but none of the other units could get out with the same movement. So basically like I would kite the ice wyvern out and then I would use the obstruct stave to just lock the other 3 units in there and sort of slow them down.
Yeah.
And then like I could sort of take them on my own like leisure. So like being able to use these staves, like having that more tactical advantage, like again, just adds to like the more options you can do to approach these maps. And so I really have to applaud Intelligent Systems for like bringing back the system and like they feel really thought out. A lot, like I know I spoke about it last week, but like a lot of the map designs feel really thought out. And just it's such a vast improvement over like the last few games where like Awakening, like even though I love Awakening Echoes, like a lot of those maps are just like giant open fields. So like these maps that I've been able to play, ironically Lynn's map is a giant open field with like every bow knight in existence, which is fine, I guess.
My queen deserves nothing less.
Another thing that I really appreciate, and for better for worse, is enemy AI will no longer kamikaze itself. So like that has forced me to change up my strategies. Basically what it is if the game detects that an enemy unit, if it would initiate on one of your units and it could neither hit it or do damage to it, it will simply ignore that unit and just move forward and go and like head towards weaker units. So like you can no longer just like throw your armored general into like a group of like weak units and just be like, okay, you guys him, I'm going to take the rest of my squad and go around the side and now I don't have to worry about it. No, you can't do that anymore. I hate that, but I also love that.
It's
like,
it's a really cool thing. Like it forces you to think about it differently, right? So that it creates a new, fun, strategic interaction. But at the same time, that can definitely like work against it, and you're just like, damn, I wish they would just kill themselves because this is annoying. You know?
Yes. Yes, very much so. Yeah. And like you really have to think about, okay, is this a good idea? Because what the problem is like if you throw a unit, because you know the enemy eye like will have sections of a map where they will just wait and they will not initiate until like you enter their range. So if you throw a unit that can't be damaged or hit into that range, all of a sudden those units will start moving, but they will also just ignore your like super unit and just go for your other units. And I'm like, oh, I did like when I was doing the Lin map, I definitely like took my armored unit around the back to see if he could just like sort of clear out that area. And since he couldn't take damage, I was like, well, he can kind of just move freely. The problem with that is a lot of the bow knights just decide to start heading for like my squishier units, and I'm like, oh, this is awful. And so like I'm staring down like 11 bow knights within like 5 spaces, and I'm like, how am I supposed to deal with this?
Right.
I still don't know how I dealt with it. Game's a lot.
But it's good.
It is. It is probably some of the best like tactical Fire Emblem I've played in a very long time. I wish the story was a lot better. I really do.
Yeah.
I enjoy it more when I consider it just like a 4-coma comic.
Yep.
And that helps me enjoy it more. Like, and it's not like there aren't like good stories or good characters here, because there are. I love Diamond, I love Louis, I love Chloe, like I love all these characters, but like I want the whole package. I want like really good map design and like really good strategic gameplay, and then like a really good gripping story like Three Houses was.
Yeah.
Like I know that they have the ability to put all those things together into a video game and then release that video.
They just need to do it.
And you know, maybe that'll be the next one, or maybe that'll be the genealogy remake that we finally get, because we need that. I think doing this game, now granted, was made more with Japan in mind than us, but doing this game before like giving us access to all the games we missed feels like a bit of a sucker punch to Western fans, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely.
No, go ahead.
It definitely feels like a game that is like made for Japan, right? Like the way that the way that the story is, it's just very, very like Saturday morning anime, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a vibe to it that's like, this is clearly catered to a very specific audience, and it's not going for like a wider reach, you know, which is cool. Like, do what you want to design, right? But it's definitely like not the serious story or like a gripping tale that like even me personally was looking for. You know, I was definitely looking for something that was a little more engaging. Engage.
See what you did
like,
there.
And that's sort of the identity that like Fire Emblem's kind of adopting, like because with Fire Emblem Heroes, like Fire Emblem Heroes is definitely like a bit more silly with like its seasonal units. Now granted, Heroes itself has had like some really solid arcs, but like they have a weekly like 4-coma comic that just takes all these characters and puts them into wacky situations. And like all these seasonal units that you get in the game, like they're all like really wacky situations, or like even some of the stories in Fire Emblem Heroes are wacky, and like that sort of almost goes in line more with like a Nintendo fare of like not as serious, sort of cartoony sort of deal, which is a bit of a far cry when you consider like Awakening's story. Which was a lot more gripping and sort of like emotionally charged. So like, I hope this isn't like the final direction for Fire Emblem. Like we're going to continue on in this direction, because like, again, I know Fire Emblem is capable of really gripping stories. Specifically, like I have heard nothing but good things about like Path of Radiance and Genealogy. Like those stories are like really, really good, politically focused, like just solid stories. And I hope Intelligent Systems doesn't abandon that.
For sure.
It's kind of like that conversation we were having again, where like I feel like modern RPGs are sort of going in this direction where like they're afraid to do like super serious things. Like if you look at something like Cold Steel, you know, where we have our feelings about that and how it definitely the story is more tropey. It definitely pulls from like there's far less stakes, or like it's far less emotionally charged than the series' earlier roots.
Mm-hmm.
And the more RPGs I play, I feel like that is a consistent theme that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Is like things feel a bit more cartoony villainy versus like really sort of having emotional stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good at like clarifying what I'm trying to say,
No,
but I hope I'm getting my point across.
I think it makes sense, right? Like we're looking for things that like take itself seriously and will actually like back that up and not do things that kind of undermines that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I said, looking for more things that have like more serious like political drama within it, right? And as you said, things like having emotional charge, like you have these stakes and you have like a story that's not afraid to commit to things, right?
Yes.
A story that's not trying to like hand wave scenarios here and there. Something that's a bit more focused and a less. And that doesn't mean you can't alternate, right? So like one thing I was kind of mentioning over the weekend is like how I'm getting back into like the RGG Studio games and getting into Lost Judgment, and it's like this is hitting exactly what I wanted out of everything I've been playing recently, right? And it makes me think of like this is like it feels like the JRPGs we're looking for is just Yakuza and Lost Judgment, right? Like these are the stories that I want more games to try and tell, and they do a good job of balancing between the two things of being like, okay, we're goofy here, but when it comes to like a story, it's more focused and serious, and like there are stakes, there are real stakes in this thing.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like we need to be Zack Snyder or anything.
No.
Like you're saying, you can balance comedy and drama. And,
yes.
You know, there are RPGs out there that do that very well. And like you're saying, Yakuza does that. So like, I'm not saying I need like a broody, edgy game either.
No.
Because those JRPGs exist and they're not what I want either.
You can absolutely turn the dial completely the opposite direction and have too much of the other thing. Right.
Yes.
There's a very sweet balance that we're looking for here, and it feels like a lot of games are not hitting that. And there are some that come out that do. Like, I'm not gonna blanket statement everything, but that is definitely a trend that has been occurring for more of the recent games that we have been going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at on Fire Emblem Engage. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to like really play anything else. I kind of just sat down and grinded this out. I just finished chapter 15.
Nice.
Actually, that map was really cool.
Which map was that?
That's the map where you find the dancer in the ruins and like you have to escape the ruins, and there's all this miasma and whatnot. That again, like that just speaks to the map design. I haven't played a Fire Emblem like that ever.
It's cool.
Like, that was really cool.
It's cool dealing with like now you're dealing with miasma, and like there are ways to get rid of it and clear it. But like there are times where it's like, okay, do I want to use this turn to navigate around it, or like it's a very cool thing to add on top of everything else in that game, right?
I mean, like you have to navigate this map like you're going through like a dungeon, and it's not just like this battlefield or something. Like you're actually going through a dungeon, and then like towards the end of the dungeon, they actually put a sense of urgency on your escape where it just throws these like souped up reinforcements that you can't damage. Made that mistake, by the way, because I didn't look at their stats. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a problem. So, like all in all, just a really cool map. And like I every time I play a new map in this game, I'm just like, this is really cool. Also fucking annoying. But really cool.
Yeah.
So Engage is good. Go and play it. Like I think I've really turned the corner on this game. Like I said, I do wish the story was better, but like gameplay wise, this shit is fucking selling.
Hell yeah. Anything else before we move on?
I'm starting the Octopath mobile game because I really want to play Octopath 2, but I can't until I beat Fire Emblem. So look forward to that, I guess.
Okay. Hell yeah. Let me get your opinions on that game. I would like to see where you fall on it. I think it's a very cool mobile game. It's a very single player focused mobile game. I've only played the Japanese version really. I touched the localization version for a little bit. Did like you, and I was like, all right, got my fill. Not because it was bad or anything, but just because I burned myself out on the JP version.
Yeah, it's mobile games.
Mobile games. I don't typically stick with them for very long. But yeah, that's cool. On my side of the pond, over the weekend, I did get a chance to sit down with some Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, I did play that.
Yeah. There's a Street Fighter game that's available out there. If you know what stones to turn over.
Yeah.
But that game is very cool. I do enjoy a lot of the mechanics within Street Fighter 6. It was the first time I got a chance to sit down and like play with people, right? Because when they did do the open beta, like I only got a chance to play like 3 matches, and it was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. This feels good. I gotta go to work. And I had other things to do, right? So getting a chance to sit down for like an hour and a half or something worth of matches and really try to like piece together what is in front of me. I'm like, yeah, these systems are very cool. They're very well thought out. It's going to take me a very long time to parse through everything. So I'm probably not going to be even decent at that game for like the first 8 months or something like that. 'Cause your boy is a slow learner, but it's very, very cool. I wanted to play Guile actually when I sat down, and when I did, one thing that I noticed is like I am no longer used to like Street Fighter charges. It feels very weird to me coming off of anime games because like Guilty Gear or any other usually anime style fighting games, the charge motion is like very fast. Like it might as well not be a charge. It's just like back. It might as well be an MK special. Like back forward, you're good. But playing Guile felt weird to me. On top of playing on a snack box, charge motions also just in general feels weird to me. Like I have that same sort of weird feeling playing May in Strive when I play on a snack box. It is very odd. So it just like wasn't clicking right. And I feel like I would like that character if I had time to like really just sit down in training mode and just like grind it out. But for the sake of like wanting to dig more into like messing around with some of the other stuff, I was like, okay, I'll just play Ryu for most of my time. And it was cool. I enjoy that game. I'm looking forward to that game a lot. I want to feel out, Dalsum and Lily and see how they carry themselves within this game. And I'm very excited to see like how people. I'm excited to see like what the high level play for that game will look like in like 6 months. Like when a new game drops, it's always very fun to see everybody just like messing around with stuff and no one really knows what's good, what's bad. Like that stuff is really interesting. And then I want to see like where the dust settles and like, okay, once we sort of figured out, not necessarily optimal things, but just like we have better understanding of how to utilize these tools, and it's going to be a very different game, Yeah. I'm excited for a Street Fighter game, y'all. That's weird.
It's very weird. Been a while since I've been excited for a Street Fighter game.
Incredibly long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also excited.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I might be sick.
It's unhinged.
Unhinged, even. For most of my time, I've been glued to Lost Judgment. I have so far, according to Steam, put 14-ish hours into that game.
Ooh, okay.
I think I'm on chapter 5-ish. So I'm a little bit after meeting Tessa.
Okay.
For the first time.
Okay.
And then we got back to we got back to the office. some things went down, and now we're kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. And I'm like, oh boy. So I was talking to Chase over the weekend, and I was like, so Lost Judgment is interesting because it just kind of it gets into it pretty fucking quickly.
Yes, it does.
You know, like you don't really. So the first Judgment like takes a little while to build up, right? Because obviously, like you're establishing like these new characters and like the setting, and it's like it's an intriguing situation, but like we're not really digging deep until probably like the halfway mark when things start falling into place. But for this game, it is like you have your excuse to go to Yokohama to Ijincho. You're beating up some kids in a school setting for something completely unrelated to what's going on in Kamurocho. And once the pieces fall into place and like the connections are drawn between where you currently are and what's going on in Kamurocho, it is like, and that's like the end of like chapter 1 or like halfway through chapter 1. They drop the bomb and you're just like, now we're gonna just floor it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is happening? It is absolutely insane. I am hooked on this video game.
Yeah.
I am deeply into this story.
Like I said about the game, like when you played through the first Judgment, right, you could definitely see like Yagami's struggles and everything like that, right? And like how he was running away from everything that happened in the first Judgment. And then in this game, you can see where those same struggles that he had to kind of battle are being tested, and he now knows how to stick to his guns with everything.
It's a much more confident Yagami.
Yes.
Right?
Very
like,
much so.
He's very much like, he's been through this rodeo. Like he's learned from everything that's happened prior, and he carries himself with like a lot more confidence. And I really like that.
Yeah.
There's something to it when like he is just ready to like interrogate people or like knows how to talk to people, and just like you immediately see the growth from the last game. You're like, oh, you are a real fucking detective right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And that applies to everybody else too. Kaito as well. Like I see it in the boy too. You know,
the boy Kaito.
The boy Kaito. Yeah, my man's just out here fucking drinking. He's just having a good ass time.
Absolutely.
You know, in some of the other characters that show up. It's a very interesting situation that's happened down there.
Yeah,
it's also very cool.
I was going to say, like you say, you just completed chapter 5, right? And you just got introduced
to Tessa. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. There are some other characters. Have you you haven't met Soma yet, have you?
No.
Okay.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. You're probably pretty close to meeting him.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it, but when you meet him, things are going to get interesting. That's the best thing I could say it.
It's already interesting.
I'm just saying that there might be some other things that begin to pop off, and
oh Lord, you're
pretty like you're chapter 5. I think you're still a few more chapters away, but if you think things are going now, wait a couple more playthroughs.
I already know this is going to escalate like way further.
Yes.
Like with how these games go, like usually by the time you get to like that halfway point or a little past that, it pops off in a way that is just like insane for whatever game that we're talking about, right? And like if I'm already feeling like this early on, I know it's just going to keep going forward. You know, I know this feeling is going to get more and more intense as we go through this. Which has me really excited because I'm like, I'm just on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're
like
going to be that way with each chapter because like it it gets stronger and stronger through each chapter, and like the emotional investment is going to keep growing more and more.
For sure.
So, yeah. But like I said, I don't want to say anything that's going to spoil it.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. As far as like the combat goes, so I know I had my issues with the beat 'em ups at this point. I definitely more prefer the turn-based RPGs of Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon. But for Lost Judgment, I'm not as annoyed by it right now. Like everything is kind of flowing pretty well.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to like make any adjustments. I feel like the fights hasn't been I haven't had too many, let me put it that way.
They haven't been as daunting.
Yeah, like I feel like they spread out pretty well. I don't feel like every 2 steps I'm getting into a fight. That also is attributed to like having the skateboard mechanic, right?
Yes.
Like you can't get into fights when you're on the skateboard unless you like literally run into them.
Yeah.
So having like an option to like kind of navigate around that and not have to sort of deal with fights every couple of steps makes the whole thing feel a lot better. And then the moments that I am into combat don't last very long. So I'm like, okay, I think we found a good balance to where like I'm still not head over heels over it. I do enjoy watching all of the new heat moves for the first time. Like that's always a joy, no matter what the game, because it's just over the top insanity.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely okay with how the battles are going out so far.
Yeah, skateboard mechanic is definitely a good way to get through some stuff though without having to worry about doing fights.
Yeah, it's also funny like they have like the whole trick system in there too, and you can like grind on rails, and I'm like, oh, so we're just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater right now.
That we are.
Cool. Like these guys are just literally implementing every fucking mini game you can think of into this game. Like we have shogi, we have mahjong, you have baseball, you have golf, you have karaoke, DDR, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Like everything is in here. It's such a fucking package. Like I was sitting back and thinking about it, and I'm just like, every one of these games is a full package. Like you have a really strong story, you have a plethora of fucking side stories that are just like that vary from incredibly emotional to super fucking goofy. Why is my chicken running this real estate agency?
Shouts to Nugget.
Shout outs to my boy Nugget out there. And you have like the Sega Arcade, right, which lets you play some like Sega classic games in there. Virtual Fighter 5 Final Showdown is in this game with NetPlay. It's such an insane fucking package. In every game, just kind of like perfects it even more. And like they get better and better about that stuff. Yeah, man, it's a treat. It's a real treat. Coming off the last couple of games we've been playing where like they have been good but have been like slightly disappointing in some ways. So it feels good to have a game that's just like hitting like every fucking metric that I can think of. Playing it on PC, I think at launch people were having some issues. I saw that the game did have a couple of patches and stuff like that over time. Playing it now, it's been probably like the best running RGG Studios game I've had on PC. Running it at 1440p at 120 FPS, like flawlessly, no hiccups, no nothing. It looks fucking great. Like visually, Lost Judgment is such a visual treat.
Yeah.
In how smooth it's running just makes the action feel good.
Yeah. I know I'm definitely excited to like do another playthrough of that game on PC when I ever get to that point. I am also kind of playing through the first Judgment again on PC. Okay. Just to kind of relive that story and everything and play through that. But like, yeah, I definitely want to do another playthrough of Lost Judgment, especially with it being on PC.
Yeah. definitely recommend. Definitely worth playing through again.
Oh,
on
100%.
this platform. You know. Shout outs to the one side story with the kid in the school at night when he's dressed up as the fucking
Yes.
the skeleton model thing. I was cracking up at that.
Oh, have you
awkward?
Yeah, that was a funny story. Side story for it. But have you done any of the other Detective Club stories?
So I just did the one with the teacher that basically has the Satsui no Hado inside of him.
Yes.
The wrestling
Yes.
dude.
Yes. That was a good one.
I just completed that literally on our way back from Orlando, and I was internally chuckling throughout that entire fucking sequence.
Yes. That was such a good one.
My man gets hit with a fucking soccer ball by these badass fucking kids, and like the aura that he has, the fucking Heihachi ass fucking hair that sticks up.
Yeah.
My man has like this murderous intent, and then like Yagami blinks, and he's just like smiling, and he's just like a good guy again, and you're just like, do I sense a disturbance here? There was like this feeling of absolute rage coming from this guy. What is happening?
I sense this murderous intent. And then yeah, of course, yeah. What actually sets him off in that story, and it's just like, oh no.
It's a very, very good side story. It's one of my favorites so far.
Yeah.
So I've done that one, and I think there's one more ready for me to do, but I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, those ones are pretty fun to do too. And there's sure. I know there's also a pretty good side story payoff on that one. That's like during those, there is one for sure side story you do have to do that involves I forget what her name was, but that involves the girl with the Detective Club. There's a side story that is definitely like must be done because you learn more about her in that regard.
Okay. I'm assuming that's just continuing to go through the stories from the club.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'll make that a priority then.
Yes.
Because I do have a habit of like getting to a point and then I kind of shut off the side stories. But like if there are some that like are must dos, like definitely let me know so I can jot those down and I'll definitely go through those then.
Yeah. Because like there's definitely ones like with side stories, when it comes to like certain characters and everything. Like for example, Yakuza 3, right? Doing the side story with Rikia where he gets his tattoo finished and everything is definitely like a must side story to do, especially with how Yakuza 3 does. And you know, shout out to the boy Rikia.
Shout outs.
There's definitely those that are in there and in Lost Judgment for sure. Like I said, I don't want to get too far ahead of it. I'm just going to wait until you get to certain parts, and then I'm going to be like, let's talk about this. Because there are definitely going to be some moments that's going to happen that you're going to be like wanting to message somebody, and I'm going to be like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
I'm going to I already know I'm going to fucking holler. Like,
oh, yeah.
I already know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited. I don't know how long this will take me to beat. I feel like I'm going at a pretty good pace. It is something that I'm playing daily. I'm trying to put a couple hours in each day. So we'll see where I am by next recording.
Yep.
Hopefully I'm in the real thick of things.
I look forward to it.
I bet you do. You look forward to my distress.
Oh, because I'm gonna be like, yep, I felt the exact same thing. I know how you feel. That's exactly how I felt when this happened.
Yes. So that's Lost Judgment. And I think that's kind of about it. I've been flirting with Elden Ring a little bit. I did reinstall that. I did install the updated version of the randomizer and kind of messing around with that now that the DLC has been announced. I feel like I've just like been renewed with interest to like mess around with that world again. I do that pretty frequently. Like I don't do like full Elden Ring playthroughs because that is insane. But I do like to jump in from time to time just to like mess around with that world again or play with different weapons and stuff. So that's something that I've been doing kind of on the side. Very much looking forward to that DLC whenever it drops. All of the lore videos that have dropped over this one fucking image has been fantastic. I've been consuming a lot of that stuff, and I hope that DLC really focuses on Mikola, which seems to be the popular thought process so far with what that image displays, because that is a huge like question mark in the overall lore of Elden Ring. So I hope we dig deep into that storyline because that is some fascinating stuff with that character. But with that, I think that's about it. Honestly, this week I'm gonna try to tackle some more Lost Judgment. I do want to get back into Crisis Core. I have some renewed interest in finishing that game. So I'll hop back on there and then we'll see what happens. So with that being said, does anybody have any last minute things before we close up shop?
Shout outs to Budokai Tenkaichi 4 being announced.
That's right. That did get announced today. Tenkaichi 4 is coming. We don't know who's actually developing it yet, which is a question mark.
But it is a thing somehow, some way.
15 years later, we're getting another Budokai Tenkaichi, which is cool. I do like those games. They're not necessarily like competitive games, but they have always been fun. And as I was talking with Chase earlier, it's like they've always had like really fun and silly like story modes as well. It's almost like a guilty pleasure I have with like some of the Naruto Storm games when it comes to like Cyber Connect 2 and like how they do like a story mode. And I'm like, this is just a entertaining thing. So I do have like this weird small amount of hype for Budokai Tenkaichi 4. But they also did announce the rollback beta for DBFZ is coming in the spring.
Yeah.
So probably in a couple of months, probably in April or May.
I feel bad for the Dragon Ball players, and that's not being touted out faster.
I mean, they'll be fine. I mean, they literally just announced that that's coming very, very soon. Like the full version of that's going to come shortly after. They're getting a new balance patch before Evo,
which is news because supposedly development and everything was supposed to be done with that game.
Done. Yeah, they were supposed to be done, but apparently, like it got kickstarted again. And a lot of that had to do with like it being brought back to Evo and renewed interest and stuff. Like everything's kind of working in that game's favor to where like it's still in active development, which is very, very cool. And then they announced another world tour is going to happen next year as well, so that game is far from dead at this point. So they can wait a couple more months for that rollback, and they still got to release the next gen version of that game too, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah, I feel like they're probably gonna like time that together,
right?
So I thought that was very cool. Shout outs to Dragon Ball Fighters. I don't play that game, but I still enjoy watching it.
It is a game that is kind of fun to just watch, but also just fun to just mess around in training mode, just to do training mode stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, let's get out of here. I want to get back to some Lost Judgment.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
This is interesting.
What's up?
Of course, we all know our boy Tong. This isn't really breaking news or anything. This is something I just kind of came across on my timeline. But speaking of games that's getting renewed interest and everything, Tong just announced that they're doing a Grand Blue Fantasy Versus tournament as part of the TNS series now. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's very cool. Get the engines running for Grand Blue Fantasy Versus before Rising drops. Yep. You know. I feel like we're gonna see that pop up a little bit more. So that's also very cool. They did announce Anila as a playable character coming pretty soon for their DLC season pass. Which she looks cool. She has Totsugeki. She's riding a sheep. So, you know, I am genetically You know, I have to play that character. Like, it is in my blood. If you have a Totsugeki, I have to play them. And she looks adorable. So
She does look adorable. Kind of surprised by like how adorable that character looks.
Yeah, you know, I knew nothing about her except she was Sheep Girl.
Yeah.
I don't know anything lore-wise with her. But she's definitely a goofy, silly character riding on sheep. And the sheep projectiles seem really fucking good. They seem really good. And I like projectiles.
Yes. Projectiles are, they're okay.
Yeah, they're pretty all right. I stand projectiles.
Social distancing.
Exactly. Please stay away. Pet my sheep instead. Stay over there.
There you go.
So with that, let's get out of here. Let's wrap up. This has been a pretty good show. We squeezed a lot out of this one. I wasn't expecting us to get a full fucking episode, but we did it. We always find a way.
We always find a way, yes.
Ryan, kick us off.
Let's see. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but if you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter, RCB_draws. It's basically my art account. Where I do a bunch of drawings, things like that. I will do some video game stuff on that here and there, but mainly artwork stuff. So you can definitely check that out and everything. And I did recently start streaming on Twitch again. So you can find me there. RCB_TV is the Twitch account that you can find me there. And that's pretty much it.
Sounds good. Drewstifer?
You can find me on Twitter at JSB Totally Drew. I don't know. I'm just tweeting about Fire Emblem right now. Hopefully, I'll be moving on to Octopath soon. We'll see how long Fire Emblem takes me. I'm sure I got a lot more under the hood to play. So we shall see.
We shall see indeed. And then you can find me on Twitter at Zenosuke, ZNOSUKE. You know, anime, video games, art. That's all you really need to know about that account. You can follow us on Twitter at JackSavageBase for everything that we are working on. If you want links to all of the YouTubes and all of the podcast feeds, you can find it there as well. You can also follow the side Twitter account, JSB Anime, if you want to follow the anime podcast. That is mostly run by Asher. So he's always tweeting about anime. I think it's Marin's birthday from Dress Up Darling. I didn't know that until I looked at our Twitter account, and I was like, oh, this is informative. If you want to keep up with anime birthdays, follow us at JSB Anime.
It's like, good to know.
Yeah, good to know. That reminds me, I need to watch Dress Up Darling.
Yeah.
So definitely, follow that stuff. And then remember that we also are doing a live show this Saturday at 3 p.m. At twitch.tv/Pinot Grigio. So yeah, with that, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate all of you. And we will talk to you next week. Bye.
Later.
Bye.